According to General Hospital teasers for July 14 to 18, 2025, Drew Kane Quartermain is hitting hard and Carly Corinthos Spencer is making threats. As we always do on Early Edition Day, we start with what's coming up for the remainder of the week. On Wednesday, July 9th, Curtis Ashford receives an update from Felicia Scorpio. She has been working for him on a PI project. Obviously, the update is about Jacinda, who is reportedly in Australia. Curtis certainly wants to shut down Drew. He wants to pay Jacinda to lie and say Drew was using ketamine voluntarily and recreationally, and that he's a true dirtbag. We all know he's a real dirtbag, but what Curtis wants her to say isn't true. So let's see if Felicia was successful on her hooker expedition. Jordan Ashford urges Curtis that she must do the right thing. So she's just going to leave his life totally, which I feel is the appropriate thing to do right now while he's still with Portia Robinson. Jordan should not be in the mix. That's his ex-wife, and she is romantically interested in him. If Curtis walks away from Portia, I believe all bets are off and Jordan can walk back in. They have not done a very good job with Jordan. They constantly pairing her with individuals just to have it fizzle away. It's difficult because she's stunning and the actress is brilliant. Drew's plan, Liz's chance and Sonny's threat. General Hospital drama unfolds. Soap dirt meanwhile. Drew informs Kai Taylor that he has a plan that he believes will succeed. And this could be about marrying Willow Tate and gaining custody. Or he may have found Jacinda when Kai informed him of Curtis' plans with Portia conspiring against him. Rick Lansing definitely wants Liz Weber to accompany him to the orchestra, and it appears like Liz may be willing to take a chance on hanging out with him, if not romance. Lucas Jones requests a favor from Carly. It could involve Sonny Corinthos and Marco Rios. Sonny also warns Jason Morgan that if anyone mistreats his child, their child would bear the consequences. So it appears that he is coming after Marco to punish Sidwell for the Christina Corinthos Davis incident, despite the fact that Sidwell set up a false trail to make it appear that Selena Wu's men were responsible. And at this point, Sonny may even believe that Sidwell burnt Michael Corinthos with the intention of killing him, which becomes more plausible given that Michael was not the original victim. Sasha's mental state, Willow's schemes, and Carly's discovery at General Hospital require Michael to reassure someone. And Sasha Gilmore asks someone if they think she's insane. So that's probably her and Michael discussing it. Michael had already told Chase that he would protect Daisy from Sasha if necessary. Horrible behavior. And it's probably going to make Willow Tate very pleased if she finds out. Sasha had previously been mistakenly admitted to a mental facility. I'm hoping Cody Bell finds out about this and helps out. Drew warns Willow to be careful. Drew appears to be discussing run-ins with Willow, similar to what she did at the pool with Michael to see Wiley Corinthos. And I believe he will advise her that it will affect the case and that she should concentrate on the wedding plans before they return to court. Carly informs Willow that she will not get away with what she did, and that Michael told her what she did. You would suppose that Carly discovered Willow was toying with the baby in this scene from the teaser. That's some clever editing. It's about Willow arriving at the pool to greet Wiley. More General Hospital spoilers. Jordan's doubts, Michael's terms, and Jocelyn grilled on Thursday, July 10th. Jordan refuses to trust Portia, which is not surprising. Kai has some information for Curtis, and I wonder if he'll tell him he blabbed to Drew, or if Kai is telling Curtis something Drew wants him to say to him. Michael also states his terms. This could be about baby mama conflict with either Sasha or Willow. Jocelyn Jax is questioned by Emma Scorpio Drake. It's probably about her public split from Hunk Vaughn. Emma may try to make her feel bad, as if she's a snob, which is exactly what Jocelyn meant because she wanted Emma's empathy radar to go off so she'd fawn over him. It worked like a miracle. Drew gains the upper hand over an opponent. And it'll probably be Curtis while it could be Michael, but I'm leaning toward Curtis. On Friday, July 11th, Lulu Spencer and Laura Spencer discuss family. Obviously, it will be about Rocco Falceroni learning about Britt Westbourne and asking all of these questions. And of course, Lulu will try to blame everything on Brooklyn Quartermain. I'm simply wondering whether Laura will come back around and tell her that she told her not to pursue this Brooklyn issue even if Lulu had rationalized it and did it anyway. Lulu believes she has the moral high ground. BLQ believes she does. I've been reading the comments on Soap's social media, and it appears that people are quite evenly divided on who they believe behaved the worst. I am not going to weigh in. It's messy stuff and I don't want to irritate half of you. Rocco Falceroni makes a risky choice. It appears that he may seek answers about Britt's origins. It is odd that he would think she was his real mother rather than Lulu Spencer. However, General Hospital has been conducting a lot of paternity retcons and fabricating parents, so you can't trust them at all. I will stress that you can't rely on them to stick to actual known history. So let's see. Trina Robinson is furious, and it could be directed at Kai if he tells her that he has alerted Drew about what is going on. Anna Devane is there for Emma. I wonder if Gio Palmieri will accompany Rocco to help him uncover the answers. Chase receives a warning from Tracy Quartermaine, which may simply be to avoid the Lulu against Brooklyn conflict, but he is clearly going to be on Team BLQ. Heartache and Willow's schemes runs from July 14th to July 18th. Brooklyn is utterly heartbroken about Joe's hatred toward her. Brooklyn will undoubtedly be distraught. Gio is even more enraged with her now than he was before because he is defending Rocco and believes she intentionally wounded him. He is completely behind Lulu, which is really difficult for his birth mother. Willow is going to continue to target Sasha and Daisy. Willow, of course, wants to hurt Sasha for betraying her, as well as Michael for keeping her children away from her. She may make another move shortly. Cody tries to back out of the Ava seduction scheme, but Christina may push him. Cody may simply want to end it because Ava rejected him and he likes Molly Lansing Davis, but Christina may put pressure on him and offer Cody too much money to refuse. One of those offers you can't refuse. Chase and Dante are going to argue about Lulu and Brooklyn's feud. Sidwell intends to take action to avenge Natalia Rogers Ramirez. It will be intriguing to watch whether Marco keeps his hands clean or crosses borders and goes dark with his father, Sidwell. Trina makes a major decision, and Jocelyn keeps up appearances. Vaughn and Jocelyn will have to maintain the Furious X vibe, despite the fact that Vaughn is her handler, and they have a strong relationship. Also, as he grows closer to Emma, I'm wondering if Jocelyn will become envious. Vaughn told her to forget the kiss, but I don't think she will. And Lulu is out for vengeance, while Portia is battling for her marriage. And we're building the stage for Kelly Thiebaud's comeback very soon. According to General Hospital spoilers, some fans believe Drew Quartermaine organized a prison switch with a lookalike before his 2023 release, leaving viewers to wonder if the real Drew is still out there. With his current reign of chaos, scheming to orchestrate Michael Corinthos' rejection of Willow Corinthos in Germany, traumatizing Wiley Corinthos with lies about his father no longer loving him in light of Daisy Corinthos Gilmore's birth, and blackmailing Dr. Portia Robinson while stabbing Curtis Ashford in the back, this Drew appears to be a far cry from the Navy SEAL hero. Could a doppelganger be tugging the strings while the real Drew is elsewhere? If this notion is correct, who is behind the switch and what does it signify for Port Charles? A lookalike at Drew's place? The hypothesis holds that during Drew's prison sentence, he swapped places with a lookalike, possibly organized by a mastermind such as Jen Sidwell, to cause mayhem. His atypical villainy, such as manipulating Willow Corinthos and having an affair with Nina Reeves, raises suspicions that this isn't the real Drew. A clue, such as a cryptic prison record discovered by Jason Morgan, could raise doubts. If the real Drew is trapped, possibly in a secret facility, will his return reveal the fake? Or is this Drew simply a darker version of the man people knew? Spoilers. Who orchestrated the switch? If a switch occurred, Sidwell, who is feuding with Sonny Corinthos, is the most likely culprit, employing a lookalike to disrupt the Corinthos clan. The Quartermaines have no shortage of opponents, and bridges have been destroyed. Could it be that someone from their past has set their sights on Drew and plans to bring them down by replacing him? If someone begins to delve much deeper, a heated conflict may reveal the truth. Will the imposter's motives, revenge or power, be revealed, or is this hypothesis a stretch? Port Charles faces a game-changer. A verified switch might turn Port Chuck upside down, leaving Willow reeling, Michael fighting back, and Sasha Gilmore Corbin's fragile mental state caught in the middle. If the genuine Drew returns, his confrontation with the imposter could cause havoc. Which team are you on? The one chanting a lookalike twist would save Drew. Or the team scoffing, he has just gone bad. Did Drew trade prisons with a lookalike, leaving the real Drew out there? Or is this darker Drew the one Port Charles must confront? Drew's world was unraveling in ways he had not anticipated. He'd spent so much time creating a persona of redemption, a man altered by incarceration and personal grief, only to discover that the foundation of that atonement was more brittle than he had imagined. Drew received heartbreaking news during the week of July 14th to 18th, threatening to shatter the last semblance of normalcy in his life. He had spent months trying to repair not only his profession but also his relationships. He aspired to be a better guy, for himself and those around him. But when an unanticipated treachery was revealed, one that hit too close to home, it devastated more than just his dignity. It led him into a downward spiral of doubt, frustration, and wrath. He received the news unexpectedly. Someone he trusted, possibly even loved about passionately, had been deceiving him. It was not a little deception. This was the type of secret that altered the narrative he had been telling himself since his release. Drew had assumed he was being given a second opportunity, that others saw him as someone worth investing in again. However, the unpleasant reality was that not everyone had his best interests at heart. And now, faced with this shattering blow, he had to decide whether he would revert to past habits of fury and recklessness or rise above them, alone if necessary. Meanwhile, Carly's claws were extended in a way that Port Charles had not seen in a long time. She had observed quietly for weeks, if not months, as certain people around her engaged in deadly games. However, Carly has never been particularly patient. Drew was upset, and others were avoiding her family's weaknesses, so she decided it was time to take action. She issued a fierce and unabashed threat, stating unequivocally that she was done playing nice. Whoever thought she would allow her loved ones to be pulled apart without consequence was mistaken. Carly was out for blood, not in a chaotic manner, but with focus, logic, and resolve that made even her allies apprehensive. She had previously cautioned others in private chats, using raised eyebrows and a hushed voice. However, it only got public this week. Carly didn't care who knew she was coming for them. She had tried diplomacy. She had tried forgiveness. None of it worked. Drew was on the edge of emotional collapse, and her family was being pulled in too many directions at once, so she took a step forward with fire in her eyes and venom in her voice. She made it clear that any move against her group would be addressed with force, whether legal, emotional, or financial. The impact was immediate. People in Port Charles began to converse, whispering in the halls and passing glances toward Kelly's and the Metro Court. Carly's warning was more than just words. It was a declaration that she was prepared to recover her control. And the lesson she presented wasn't just for one individual. It reverberated across numerous factions. Ned's shifting loyalties, Michael's emotional tug-of-war, and Nina, whose precarious position became more unstable with each step Carly took. And Drew? He attempted to hold himself together. He tried to act as if the treachery hadn't destroyed him inside. He told Carly that he was okay, that he'd handle it. But she could sense a storm developing behind his eyes. And she despised that. Carly had fought too hard to see him shattered again, especially after what they had been through. So her threat was more than just vengeance. It was also about protection. It was about showing the world that hurting Drew would have consequences, because Carly still supported him despite what had happened between them. The person responsible for Drew's misery had not yet been acknowledged publicly, but gossip was rampant. Some suggested it was a corporate treachery. Others suspected it had something to do with Willow, Michael, or Jason. There were too many possibilities and secrets that remained unspoken, but the clues were there. Drew's stiff stance when speaking to Michael. He refused to speak to Willow directly. He avoided eye contact with Carly when she asked for names. Someone close to them had undercut him, and the consequences were far from done. Even Sonny, despite his own problems, sensed the change in Carly. He pulled her aside after a tense encounter at the Metro Court and tried to persuade her to back down, but she refused. Carly reminded him that they were no longer on the same side, and that while she still loved the father of her children, she would not be influenced by his calm cautions or pleading glances. Not this time. Carly drew a line. Anyone who crossed it would pay. Drew, for his part, started withdrawing into himself. He skipped meetings. Calls were ignored. He was losing momentum at Aurora and everybody noticed. Tracy expressed worries. Brooklyn stepped in to assist, but even she was faced with opposition. Drew didn't want assistance. He did not desire compassion. He sought clarification. Why had he been taken so completely by surprise? Most importantly, what did he do next? He spent long hours gazing at files and security footage, certain he had overlooked something. He replayed discussions in his mind. Michael had been suspicious about a recent business arrangement. Willow hesitated when questioned about Nina's visit. Nothing added up, but everything felt related. Carly eventually forced him to talk, showing up uninvited at his house and refused to leave until he spoke up. It was not easy. Drew did not want to appear weak in front of her. But Carly didn't beg for vulnerability. She demanded it. She reminded him that he couldn't withstand the storm alone. Drew was appreciative even if he didn't say so out loud. He didn't understand how close he was to quitting up. Carly's threat, which rang throughout ELQ, the Quartermain home, and the corridors of General Hospital, was more than a warning. It was a lifeline. Drew received a signal indicating that she still believed in him, that she would fight for him even if he couldn't defend himself. However, it also has repercussions for everyone else. Jason, Michael, and even Willow felt the pressure rising. Jason had been silent for the majority of it, but his allegiance to both Carly and Drew kept him on a tightrope. He knew more than he was admitting, and there was a growing suspicion that he would soon have to choose a side. Carly trusted him, but only to a point. She had witnessed enough betrayal recently to believe that even Jason may falter, and the notion terrified her more than she wanted to admit. Meanwhile, Michael's behavior was becoming increasingly weird. He continued distancing away from family dinners. "We are canceling our meetings with Drew." Not responding to Carly's texts. Willow also observed it. She tried to chat to him, but he dismissed her, claiming he was overburdened at work. But the reality was messier. Michael had taken a decision that he thought was correct at the time, but now he was not so sure. And if Carly found out, he knew the consequences would be disastrous. Willow, torn between allegiance to Michael and her own impulses, felt trapped. She didn't have all the facts, but she sensed something was wrong. Drew stopped returning her messages, which reinforced her darkest thoughts. She was watching a family fall apart piece by piece, and she had no idea how to stop it. Nina remained in the background, like a powder keg ready to burst. Carly was monitoring her every move, so she knew she had to be careful. But Nina was never one to keep silent for long. She still had cards that might ruin everything, and if pushed hard enough, she may use them. Carly was well aware of this, making her threat even more serious. If Nina reacted poorly, the consequences might devastate not only relationships, but also reputations, alliances, and future prospects. As the week progressed, anxiousness filled every scene in Port Charles. Drew tried to keep his mask on, while Carly worked behind the scenes to determine the source of the betrayal. Jason remained mute, evaluating everyone's actions like a chess game. Michael attempted to stay ahead of the lies, but he was slipping. Willow stood by, saddened, watching the man she loved crumble and unable to intervene. And Nina waited, because whatever Carly did next may result in the town's most heated confrontation in years. Throughout it all, one thing became clear. The battle lines had been formed. Carly had declared war, and no one, family, friends, or enemies, was immune from the consequences. Drew Kane's career on General Hospital has always been complicated, but recently, the mystery surrounding his last prison ordeal has grown in ways no one could have expected. Those closest to him are starting to realize that something isn't adding up, and rumors of a switch, or something even more bizarre, are gathering steam. Initially, the alterations were subtle. When Drew returned from his most recent sentence, friends and family were relieved, believing the worst had passed. However, his demeanor was odd. Those who knew him best described him as having a cold edge, a peculiar look in his eyes, and an eerie quality. It wasn't just post-prison trauma. It felt deeper. Sam McCall, who previously had a life and a kid with Drew, was the first to express her concerns. She had stood by his side through many of his prior difficulties, but this time felt different. He didn't appear to recollect little details from their common history, and his reactions were muted, as if he were acting rather than reliving memories. She dismissed the worry at first, attributing it to trauma and the mental toll of solitary confinement. But one night, when Drew hesitated when asked about Scout's favorite bedtime book, something the real Drew had always known, Sam couldn't ignore her instincts. Meanwhile, Carly Spencer was torn. She'd become close to Drew and even developed affections for him, as their friendship grew deeper over the stressful period after Jason's suspected death. Drew, on the other hand, has recently appeared removed from her in ways that do not feel like emotional distance. He forgot about their shared experiences, misremembered important talks, and even mentioned occurrences he was never present for. Carly, ever attentive, originally chose silence, not wanting to harm himself or herself. But when he mentioned a former memory involving Donna, which Carly knew Jason had been a part of, not Drew, her blood turned cold. She didn't say anything, but her concern was deep. Jason Morgan, who has recently returned from the dead and is still adjusting to life in Port Charles, has been wary of Drew since they first reunited. Their convoluted relationship as twin brothers has always been laden with tension, especially since Drew unintentionally experienced Jason's life, as a result of the memory transfer performed by Helena Cassadine and others. Jason should have had an emotional reaction when he saw Drew again. But this man's actions caused him pause. Jason is a man of instinct, and his instincts were screaming him something was wrong, way off. The hypothesis of a probable prison swap quickly gained traction. The concept seemed far-fetched at first. How could someone as well known as Drew Cain be replaced while incarcerated without anyone knowing? But in Port Charles, nothing is ever what it appears. The more they researched, the more questions arose. There were anomalies in the prison records. Footage from visitation records revealed small physical distinctions. Drew's body language in the footage was slightly different, less confident and more mechanical. Nobody could quite put their finger on it, but the discomfort was palpable. Speculation grew around the possibility that Drew had been exchanged in prison with someone else, perhaps someone surgically altered to look like him, or even someone indoctrinated into believing they were him. The more disconcerting possibility was that this might not be the Drew they thought they knew, not just emotionally or mentally but physiologically. As a result, rumors circulated about a lost twin. Everyone in Port Charles is aware of the Cassadines' turbulent and destructive background. With their long history of research, preoccupation with control, and remarkable ability to change DNA and memory, it's possible that there were more than two brothers. What if Drew isn't Jason's only twin? What if there was a third brother, kept somewhere, made or stolen many years ago? Perhaps a sleeper agent, or a man reared in isolation with the intention of eventually taking Drew's place. Anna Devane took the premise to heart and started digging through old WSB documents, examining files that had been classified and buried for years. She discovered reference of a secret Cassadine technique called Gemini Phase 3. The file was partly blacked, but important words stood out: twin replication, operational deployment, and replacement protocols. The file was last read around the time Drew was apprehended. That detail alone shook her. Robert Scorpio, suspicious but interested, decided to help her continue her investigation. They discovered film from a high-security facility in Eastern Europe that Victor Cassadine was thought to have run before to his death. The video showed a man being transferred, bound and unconscious, with an uncanny likeness to Drew. A second video, shot just days later, showed another man, alert and suited, walking through the same facility's gates, smiling weakly. It was the same face. Back in Port Charles, Drew, or the man who claimed to be Drew, became increasingly unpredictable. He began to isolate himself, shunning individuals he formerly considered family. Brooke Lynn saw that his tone had entirely changed. He spoke like someone from a military operation, employing tactical jargon and commands even in normal conversation. Michael Corinthos was similarly alarmed following a brief meeting in which Drew coldly proposed cutting ELQ relations with the Quartermain's foreign holdings, something the real Drew would never have done without debate. Willow also picked up on it. Given the complicated web of Corinthos' family ties, she'd always been distant with Drew, but she felt nervous with him as well. She confided in Nina, something she rarely does these days, that Drew was giving her goosebumps now, like if his presence in a room dimmed the light somehow. Nina dismissed it at first, preoccupied with her own problems, but the comment lingered with her. One night, Sam followed her instincts and broke into Drew's apartment with Spinelli's assistance. There, hidden in a locked drawer, she discovered things she wasn't authorized to see. Maps, surveillance images of Port Charles inhabitants, and a Cassadine insignia drawn in pen on one map corner. It was enough to validate her suspicions. This dude wasn't simply different. He might be someone completely new. Sam presented the evidence to Jason, and the two started planning their next move. If they confronted the man publicly, he might flee or worse, retaliate. They needed real evidence, so Jason suggested they dig up medical records, which even a perfect double couldn't completely counterfeit. Spinelli began working around the clock, combing through hospital data and conducting DNA tests in secret. Then came the breakthrough. A private scan revealed a surgical scar that the original Drew Kane never had. It went at the base of the neck, which is consistent with a neuroimplant commonly employed by covert agents for Cassadine communication. That was the smoking gun. They had finally discovered that whomever this man was, he was not Drew. But before they could make a move, the double vanished. The apartment was emptied out overnight, leaving no trace behind. Surveillance footage was deleted, and all of his bank accounts were emptied. It was as if he had never existed. That same morning, a mysterious postcard came at Carly's residence. It had only one word: Gemini. Jason, Sam, and Anna realized the war had just begun. The genuine Drew Kane may still be alive somewhere out there, or he may have met the same death as the imposter. And the organization responsible for the move, maybe a renegade faction of the Cassadines or an unknown third party, had recently declared war. Everyone close to Drew has become a target. Carly is being watched. Scout School reported odd people asking questions. Michael and Willow have had their phones cloned. The Quartermain's estate also experienced a breach, but there were no traces of forced entry. The deeper they look, the more hazardous things get. Despite the gloom, optimism remains. Jason has made it his duty to find his brother, whatever the cost. Anna is confident that the WSB has more buried data that could reveal the truth. And Sam, motivated by maternal instinct and lingering love, refuses to give up seeking until the man she once trusted with her heart is safe. However, nothing in Port Charles ever ends smoothly. The Drew who went may return, or someone considerably more terrible may replace him. As the lines between truth and illusion become increasingly blurred, one question stands out above all others. Where is Drew? And who actually engineered the switch? Every second matters, and as the mystery unfolds, Port Charles prepares for a reckoning that might change everything. According to General Hospital spoilers, Jason Morgan may say only 6 words to Jocelyn Jacks after she is revealed as a WSB spy. Will Jason discover out Jocelyn's secret and make a statement she doesn't want to hear? Jack Brennan recruited Jocelyn into the WSB and put her through the requisite training. Jocelyn is now misleading all of her loved ones while carrying out her first major task, but problems could be brewing. Brennan put Jocelyn on this Professor Henry Hank Dalton probe, unintentionally putting her in Jason's path. That's because Anna Devane assigned Jason to investigate Professor Dalton as well. Of course, Jason was already dubious of Jocelyn's Easter Island story, which GH viewers are aware was a cover for her time at a WSB training center. The show has been creating the groundwork, so Jason is likely to learn the truth about Jocelyn's covert career. Jocelyn may beg Jason's silence if this occurs, but will she get her way? Jason knows how to keep secrets in some situations, but he avoids keeping them from Carly Spencer whenever possible. Nonetheless, Jason kept Michael Corintho's true fatherhood of Sasha Gilmore Corbin's baby a secret for a long. Jocelyn may believe Jason will maintain her secret, but she may be in for a harsh awakening. Jason was willing to conceal the paternity because it would safeguard Michael's parenting rights. It was all about doing the best thing for Michael, even if it meant lying to Carly for a bit. Jason may worry he can't keep Jocelyn's secret. This puts Jocelyn in a lot of risk, and Brennan is hiding something big from Carly while dating her. As a result, Jason may say 6 words that Jocelyn does not want to hear. You have to tell your mom. Once Jason has received updates on all of the upsetting WSB news, he may take a tough stand. Jason may insist that Jocelyn come honest to Carly, or he will do it for her. According to General Hospital spoilers, Jason will be juggling many stories in the coming months, so don't miss out on any of the action. According to General Hospital spoilers, Jason Morgan may say only 6 words to Jocelyn Jacks after she is revealed as a WSB spy. Will Jason discover out Jocelyn's secret and make a statement she doesn't want to hear? Jack Brennan recruited Jocelyn into the WSB and put her through the requisite training. Jocelyn is now misleading all of her loved ones while carrying out her first major task, but problems could be brewing.